There, he can edit whatever we need out of there. I think we just started. Yeah.
Alright, today we're going to install spang lights on this razor that have ambers built in, and this will plug right into our harness. This plugs in the factory connector. First we need to get these out. And on the back of each one there's 3 studs, kind of, they're plastic, but they have a nut on them. Well, they're real difficult to get to in there. Taking them off and putting them on will be even harder. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this whole fascia off to get to it easier. On the bottom there's T30, T25. So for the black piece there's 2 T25s. That just hooks on there. That gives us access to some T40 bolts. Two down there. Two up top. One on each side. Two more there, so we got a total of kind of the T40s holding this whole front clip on. You want to pull it out, make sure you got your headlights unplugged. And the factory fan lights. So now we can actually get at these guys a lot faster and easier than before. Roll this down on our trusty mat. I'll pop all these off. You need a deep well 7/16. The lights will pop right out. What's up, man? Alright, now we got our front clip on. The light's plugged in. We got the factory connector plugged into our light now. And we'll plug in our connector to our harness. Here we go. Get all 10 of our bolts started by hand. Make sure they all line up before we start tightening them down. See how we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the top. This one on the bottom side here. Right down here in the middle. This one all. Got those all in. We'll switch back to our T25. Space hooks. Here. Higher up. It's right on the plastic, so there's no reason to hammer on it. The main reason we took it all off is that one's not too bad to get to. So back here, can't really get on it. And this one down here as well. And on this side, we took the rectifier assembly out to try to get to it, and getting the bolt nuts out was hard enough, and then getting them on a new one and cutting the new threads would have been awful. So it's much easier to just pull the whole front fascia off, and then you can access the bolts the way you want. And then we'll get this front grill back on and put the rectifier assembly back in. But that's how you can install our fang lights, and they glow amber and then they flash amber.
Okay guys, as you can see, we got our Jacob went through that instruction on getting those fronts done, putting the amber ones in. I'm going to go through now and finish up zip tying and clearing things up here, and then we're going to put our stuff back together here. So make sure you're running everything the best you can, the cleanest way possible. Some of it's a little bit tight to get into. Some that you can reach and do both ways here. Definitely want to keep everything out of the way of shocks or anything like that. There are a lot of harnesses in here that you can go to make sure your cables are all ran clean. Of course, be careful with all the factory, because this one has ride command. There's also, quite often a GPS puck or something you got to work around. Okay, so I'll show you. There is how we'll tie it up, so that way it's there. And then we want to make sure we get all this tied up too inside here. But of course, yes, it's not involved with much there, but we'll get a couple of the bigger zip ties that we have and handle those that way. And due to the fact, like I said before, it's a performance machine, we want to make sure that we get it tied up well where I'm not too worried about it going somewhere. Like that. Get these cleared out of the way. Make sure I'm happy with where everything is there. Grab the hood. And a good remember, there's that. And we're going to look under here and find these. I want to make sure we get them lined up with our like that. And now we go over and get our PPS cover. We need the two plastic nut, or the plastic rivets that go on here. Make sure everything gets clamped back in. That's always look in the front too. Lined up. Pops back in. There's that. Make sure we want everything there. And then we're going to grab our Torx again. And they've got the little buckets there. You want to make sure they get put in. I've got to get the extension on there. Take your time as you work around it, but of course this will be in the opposite direction when you're taking it all off. But there's that portion of it. Keep everything handy because we'll walk back slowly here and take care of it. Because we've got a few more Torx and stuff, but if you keep everything in line, it should work well. Especially with accessories or anything, make sure you're, and then you'll want to make sure these are lined up. Polaris has these designed to only that. This customer did have a half window on. This strap just came off there. Put this back on. But it's got to go. I think the ATV ones have the sticker on the inside, or oh, you always want the flip up to get the wind protection. Oh. Now as we go along here, you'll see where our harness goes. And you're going to want to just follow the main portions of where they're locked in here. Take some good zip ties and go right along with the factory where they've got theirs, because then you know you're pretty well safe there. Pick it up and back here because there's one, the shift cable runs right along here too. So you're going to want to make sure you keep it out of the way. Go back to the back side here. Bridge right here. We want to keep it on. And there's one that drops in right here where we brought it up through. right by the battery. Force it. Get the zip tie here, and then pull them tight, and cut them flush. And before I seal all those up, I like to test it. So here's the front. I'll take it by hand now, but here's the front here. Corner light, front. As you can see all of those. I'll turn the light down here for a minute. So as you can see, there's our fangs, they're lit. Corner one's lit. There's the corner here. And then, so the arrow is blinking on the dash. Corner here. And I'll just, so we do self-cancel after 45. There's hazards. Arrows are blinking. We'll go to the front. And then your stocks and back are incorporated. So you're going to have those blinking back there. So now when you move the lever, it cancels that. So you got your back light blinking this way. And that one blinking there. So that's where that setup is. I'll turn the lights back on and continue buttoning up now that we know it works. Remember also to bring it back up into here. And remember just to, and the horn button on the end is there. So now we're just gonna work our way back to get everything lined up. Okay. The shifter will, once we get it bolted down, we'll be able to pull it all. There it is. Again, we've got 4 T-bolts here. Those are T40s. These are actually in the seat rail. Get the holes lined up. Get them turned to half. As you can see them there. Yep. You have 2 more back and back here. Okay. Now we've got plastic push pins to put in. Loosen these up just a touch. You can slide it back. Then get your push pins in. And they do come apart, but they're marked so you know which way they go in. They're in. Now we can tighten them up. Like that. Get our cover. That's back in as well. One yet to put in, and where it is, it's located clear up under the dash right there at the very end of the plastic. So that'll get put back in. Got 2 push pins left to put in, 1 on each side. Clean out our zip ties. Okay, and that's where we're at. So now we can start putting our seats back in. Polaris seats, as you know, if you're doing this, you've probably had these out before. We've got plastics to slide in. You just hit them down. And I always have to make sure I got the right seats. Like I did here. The front ones are adjustable. Back ones are not. That. And there you have it. There is the install on a 2023 RZR XP1000 from Kinnettic Kreations. So it is an 8-pin kit. And you can definitely get a hold of us for ordering information at KinnetticKreations.com.
Today we're working on a Polaris RZR. This one's 1000 XP. It's pretty slick. But what we're going to show you will work on any RZR going back 5-6 years or whatever. All of our kits come with a horn, little dash indicator harness that's labeled pin 6 and pin 7 to turn on the arrows in the dash if your dash is equipped with 2 arrows, and then a front harness that goes to your horn, your left and your right front amber light signal head. Then you can pick your controls. One way is with toggle switches. We got turn signal switch, of course, horn switch, and hazard switch. The turn signal switch, the arrows light up all the time, and when you select the direction, they'll flash. Otherwise, we have our column mounted lever and its module that goes with it. This mounts right to the column. To your factory bolt, you got to flip over the lever for the strut that holds the steering column in place, and then our module. Both of our modules control the turn signals. We got 3 outputs on it. We got one for the front harness, plugs into this guy. We got one for the dash indicators, plugs into this one. The last one is for the rear harness, plugs into the rear harness. We have 3 different options on these RZRs. The main ones, there's the Turbo Pro R is different, but the good old 4-pin that was standard on all the RZRs back in the day and still on some of them. We got the 8-pin on more equipped RZRs. This one uses the 8-pin connector, and then there's some that require the 10-pin connector. They're the higher end models, the aluminum frame in the back there. So we'll show you how to pick that out. And when you're ordering, you get your choice of LEDs for the front. So for the front, you can get this one's 1 1/4 inch diameter, uses a 3/4 inch hole. We got our smoke plate. It's 3/4 tall by about 4.5 inches wide. It's got 6 LEDs in it. So there's this one. You can do 2 of these smaller ones. They're 3/4 inch, same 3/4 inch hole that one takes, and it comes with our splitter, so you can do 2 into 1 spot. Or for a couple extra bucks, you can order with 3 small rounds in the front, all 3/4 inch, and our triple splitter for that. And you also get to pick one light for the side. To me, it's important to have a light on the side of the unit somewhere, so that way you can be visible from almost 360 degrees around the unit. That way it's harder to get hit by a car. They know where you're turning, all that stuff. You can pick a smoke light, small 3/4 amber, or the large 1 1/4 amber. We also have a jumper. This one's got fang lights. This will control the factory fang lights, so it'll be on as running lights, just like the rest of the ambers will, and then they'll flash with the blinkers. So that's an option, and we will be coming out with our own strobing fang lights down the road. We're waiting on the circuit boards to be developed and tested on that. So we'll show you how to select which RZR kit you need. So what you'll do is you come back here by the driver's side rear tire, and you'll look right here. We already have a kit installed in this one. So here's where you'll go to look. We already have our kit installed in this one. But this one's the 8-pin connector. You basically just see how many possible holes there are. It's pretty obvious. The 4-pin will only have 4 slots. The 8-pin will have 8. Notice there's one empty, that still counts, so there's 4x2. And then the 10-pin will have 10 holes. They changed how they wired the rear of the vehicle on a couple. They added backup cameras and some other stuff, so that'll determine which harness you need. Our rear harness will plug in here, and then we route it along the factory wire harness. This one goes down to here. Zip tied it, and then the easiest way to get to the bottom of this one is pop off your skid plate. This one has plethora of these 10mm headed bolts. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 of them. We drop it down. You can see up here. You just run our harness along the factory one up to the front, and once you get it from below, you run it here. There's a nifty little grommet. Pop the hood off. So we have it running through this grommet. A reminder circuit board. We're testing our backup light kit on here, which I'll show in another video. Send it through the grommet there. We have our front harness. We mounted our horn to this existing bolt. Front left plugs into our lights. Here's the plug for that. Got 2 of them, or 1 more up here. Can't really see it from there. You'll mount your lights to the front and the side. For this one, we did have to take off a couple bolts to pop it out and route the harness through and put them back on. Those were a T40 Torx bit. We put a smoked here. So you can have any combination lights. You can put 2 or 3 of the small rounds there. That would look good. You can do, there's not too much on the side unless you want to put a light up in here. But the smoke one fits really nice along the plastic trim. Now the same for the right side. So then you'll just plug it all in. So it's extra prep for backup lights. And you'll route both harnesses to the firewall. It's not too bad to do. These require a 5/8 hole, and then we include some screws that you use with the #1 Phillips bit and just sink them right into the plastic. Now when you get up in the dash, to access everything, there are 2 of these push rivets up here. Pop them out. If you're going to work on these things more than once, definitely get one of these tools. You got a variety pack from Amazon. I had a whole bunch of plastic and metal tools in it, but these work awesome. They just slide under the head, pull them right out. Go and take out this little bin here. That gives you access up in the dash. So down here, there's the hole. There it is. Down here you'll have the harnesses that you stuck through under the hood. There's your rear harness, and then the front harness will be up in here as well. Where to go? Here it is. So your front and your rear harness. Now for doing your dash indicators, it's not as easy as some other models. But you want to pop out at least this screw. So to get up in the dash, pop this bolt out. It's a T40 Torx. And you'll be able to pop it up a little bit. Hooks on the front here. There we go. windshield out of the way a little bit to give us some slack. Pop out another T40 up here. It allows us to come up enough so you can get your hand in here, because on the back of the instrument panel, you can just get in there. There we go. This is a great connector. So what you want to do is on the bottom, there is a lever. You squeeze real hard, and it'll come unplugged. And since we already have the kit installed, I'll just show what you're supposed to do to install the dash indicators. If you want to pop this cover open, what you'll do is you'll pop out these blue plugs. They slide right out for pins 6 and 7. This connector is numbered. You'll take a little pick, a fingernail, whatever you want. And you'll push in on this white tab on the side gently on both sides. This lock will pop off. What you'll do is you'll stick our harness in, pin 6 and pin 7, and you make sure the pins are all even across the front. And once they are, you'll put this lock back on. Now this only goes one way. If it doesn't go on, flip it over. You want to make sure that all the pins, once it clicks, you're good. If it doesn't go on easy, one of your pins is misaligned. And I'll close this back up. So now our harness is in there, and route it with the factory one. Plug this back in. Now that'll work your dash indicators. Put this back down. Throw our screws back in, and the dash is done. So what we need to do to mount our lever, grab the lever, 10mm wrench or socket, and a 4mm Allen wrench. So what we'll do, you pop off the factory nut. Yeah, wiggle it to get this bolt out sometimes. You put your Allen wrench in there and rotate it back and forth. Pop the bolt out. You'll flip that over. Put the bolt back in. Our lever will snap over the steering column. Then you'll want to get it where it goes over the bolt. Nut back on, and tighten it down. You have to make sure you have a Allen wrench on the other side if the bolt spins. It doesn't always spin. Alright, right now our lever is not exactly how I would want it, but you can tweak the bracket to get it right where you want it. So now you have your horn, right, left, hazard on it. Then we'll take our lead. So our kits only have one lead coming off with a 4-pin connector. There's no need to have 50 different bundles coming out. They have to match up with the harness. Let's just feed it out of here. So now we have our lever adapter. We have our dash indicators. We have our front, and we have our rear harnesses. So what we'll do is get the modules. There's our module for that. I also have the one for toggle switches. They both plug in the same way. So you get your front, your rear, dash indicator, and your lever. Got those four plugged in. So now you'll see, got our amber on as a running light. Horn, you got right, you got left, and our turn signals will cancel on their own after 45 seconds. So if you forget to turn it off, it'll stop flashing, it'll go back to neutral as if this was off. And then to recycle it, you'll just have to put that back to neutral, and then you can go right or left again. The hazards will stay on permanently. There's no reason to cycle those out, because usually if you have your hazards on, you want them to stay on. Now that's for the lever. So if you don't like the lever, that's fine. We have a module that has toggle switches built in. Same three connectors at the bottom. In the rear, front, dash indicators. Now you'll see the switch lights up, and when you go right, it flashes right. When you go left, flashes left. Same thing as a 45-second timeout. You got hazards, and then you got your horn. So these usually put 2-foot leads on them. Some people like to mount the horn over here, their turn signals and hazards over here, or however you want to do it. There's enough room for it to route in the dash and spread them as far apart as you want. Well, I guess within reason. You can only go about 4 feet total width, but you could even put hazards over here and your turn signals on the right. If you want to let your kids or wife play with it, go for it, or husband, whoever. But it's your choice. All of our kits, you can have either the switches or the levers. Now once you get everything plugged in, you can secure the harness, some zip ties, bundle up all the extra length. We'll zip tie that in a little bit. Extra length comes in handy when you got a machine that has air conditioning or extra crap up in the dash that you need to get around. You'll be happy that there's more than enough wire instead of not quite enough. But we'll show you our kit in action. So here it is. It's key on. Our ambers are running lights. And then they flash, obviously, with the blinker. So you got left. And of course, you got your left tail light going. Now this one has a third brake light. And the third brake light is actually tied in with this with the harness. If you want the third brake light just to be on normal and just have this flash, we can make the harness, we can modify it to only, well, we just add a lead that goes from here, splices into the brake, power, and ground, and run it up here. So we've done that before. Most people like that it flashes when you turn left. It'd be really cool if it was split, and I did half and half, but that's not how Polaris built it. Maybe down the road we'll get some circuit boards developed and get these housings so we can have it. I would have it strobe out, but we'll see what happens down the road with that type of stuff. And you got your right working. And of course your horn. So that's the gist of it. Didn't do the step-by-step install. I slapped this one together on Saturday. We had a UTV ride to go to. And I had like 45 minutes to get it ready and sign up for that. There, see it canceled. So yes, I was able to install the blinkers on this thing in 45 minutes. I've done a couple, so that helps, and I designed them, so that makes it nice. But You should be able to do one of these in under 2 hours. Like I said, the only covers you got to take off are the belly pan. And this windshield was nice to get off just to get into the dash there. So you got to get in the dash a little bit underneath here. There's lots of wide open space to do stuff. So it's pretty easy on these. The next thing we offer is our little T-harness for this light. In order to access the plug, you gotta pop your grill out. Yes, we have walnuts in this one. Pop your grill out. The connector for these lights. It's up towards the top. It's this guy. So it's up here. So in our connector, simply just stick it down there. Plug it in up here. Get my fingers in there. There you go, that other plug was in the way. So that's plugged in. We'll go down here. And this one we have it set up as a T-harness. So you can add it in line. With another light, so you can add the amber on the front, or you can forego it and not plug anything in here. Obviously, you'd zip tie that up all the way, route it nicely, but now what happens is flashes the factory thing without having to buy one that's got the amber built in or any of that. But like I said, we got the Defender prototypes in yesterday, so we're gonna do RZR's next once those are in production, where it strobes out amber and then it lights up white once it's done. We got to get a batch of the housings whipped up, or I guess ordered. We don't make those, and then get the circuit boards developed and make sure they're good to go. Now I'll show our backup light kit. This kit will work in any Polaris, from the Ranger, the General, RZR, the Expedition, although the CAN protocol for the Expedition is slightly different, so we have to program our board differently. But what we have here, the circuit board plugs right into the diagnostic port. It reads the CAN messages, so when you put the vehicle in reverse, it sees that and it turns on a light. And we also have a connector to bypass it with a switch, so we can turn on the light whenever we want. I'll show you why that's a nice idea. So plug that in. This cable runs to a light we ran to the back, and this will plug into the switch. If you look, we got a light bar mounted up here, and that's our backup light. So even with the key off, you can flip the switch on and your backup light comes on. So now it's actually doubles as a work light, especially you guys with Rangers. The light bar that we offer, these brackets here, we had to finagle it for this. We'll come up with a better system for the RZR. But these brackets actually line right up with the two bolts that hold the top of the cab down. So we'll have some spacers and longer bolts that'll come with it. So you can mount that right to the back of your cab, and then you have a work light for your bed and a backup light. So that's basic. And then key on, park. So park, no light. Reverse, light. Park, reverse, neutral. So when you're backing up, it's pretty bright. I used it the other night and I could actually see where I was going backwards. So it's a neat little plug and play kit. Our lights will come with the connector on it. Clearly didn't even have that plugged in all the way, probably yanked on it too hard. We'll have a cable. This one's just temporary. I'm going to run it underneath the floorboard in a minute here. So we'll have a cable with plenty of extra length, because running along the roll cage is a lot easier than routing it below the vehicle. And then it'll come with our module. It won't look like this. We have a molding machine that we put our boards in, and it over molds them right here in house. So those will come with a fancy little fully encapsulated cover. These say turn signal controller. We have a new mold insert coming that'll say backup light controller. So these will be molded. I'll get this machine warmed up. And here it is. So yeah, we got 2 mold cavities. The back one just encapsulates all the wires and the cables into a uniform square, and then the front one has the mold insert and does the final molding. That way you don't have any wires hanging out, but we got a variety of different ones for all of our CF motos. Our lever adapter, or our lever module, doesn't have all 6 coming out, but we mold these in-house.